Now, as we have already discussed that autotrophs prepare their own food. And I told you that they prepare their food by the act called photosynthesis. Now let's study the process of photosynthesis. So just look at the board, the name, that is the photosynthesis. What do we mean by photo? Photo means light. And what do we mean by synthesis? Synthesis means making something. So photosynthesis refers to a process in which the green plants prepare their food by utilizing the substances, or you can say the inorganic materials which are present in the environment. And this synthesis is occurring in presence of light. That is the name photosynthesis. So if somebody asks you about the definition that what do we mean by photosynthesis, you are going to define like this, that photosynthesis is a process by which green plants prepare their food by utilizing the inorganic materials from the environment and in the presence of sunlight. Now, the general reaction which is involved in photosynthesis is, just we'll have a look and then we'll study in detail that how that reaction actually take place. So, the general reaction which is involved in the photosynthesis is CO2 plus water in presence of sunlight. We have a food, and here you can see that we have C6H12O6, which is actually a form in which the food is synthesized by the plants. That is the glucose, C6H12O6, and then we have O2. So this is the general reaction involved in the process of photosynthesis. Now, if we talk about photosynthesis, I told you that plants require the inorganic materials from the environment. If they will have those materials, then only they can synthesize their food. Now, what are the raw materials which are required? Let's talk about this now. So, the first raw material, the essential thing which they need is the carbon dioxide, that is the CO2. Now, how the organisms obtain CO2? So, obviously CO2 is a gas, we all know, and it is present in the atmosphere. So, the plants actually take the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and how they take up? They take up through the tiny pores which are present in the leaf. As you can see, these tiny pores are called as stomata. They are called as stomata, and stomata actually looks like this. As you can see that there are two kidney shaped cells. These are called as guard cells. And what they enclose inside? They enclose a small pore. Right. So this pore opens and closes, and accordingly the gases are taken in or given out. Right. So that means carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere is taken up by plants. But how they take? They take up through stomata. And what are stomatas? Stomatas are the tiny pores which are present in the leaf of the plant. Right. So, I think carbon dioxide is clear that where it is present and how the plant is taking it and which part of the plant is helping to take that carbon dioxide. It's clear now. Now, let's move on to the second raw material, that is the water. The second raw material which is required is water, that is H2O. And how plant is going to take up that water? We all know that whenever we grow crops, we have to irrigate them. What is irrigation? Irrigation means supplying water to plants. So when you supply water to plant, the plants take up the water through the roots. Plants take up the water through roots, and then from roots through a connective tissue, that is xylem, it is being transported to all parts of plant. Right. So the second raw material is also clear that water is available in soil, and how it comes to soil? We have to irrigate it. Right. And then who is going to transport that water from root to all parts? That is the connective tissue, that is xylem. So second we have done, that is the water. The third raw material is the solar energy. And who is going to provide us that solar energy? That is our natural source of energy, that is sun. So sun is going to provide that solar energy, and that solar energy is being utilized by the plant. And who is going to receive that solar energy? Who is going to trap that energy? That is the photosynthetic pigment, which is the fourth raw material. And what is the name for that photosynthetic pigment? It is the chlorophyll. So, how we are going to define chlorophyll? If somebody asks you about the photosynthetic pigment, how are you going to answer it? So, photosynthetic pigment is actually a pigment, a colored pigment, which is actually capable of trapping the solar energy and converting into chemical energy of food. Right, there are many photosynthetic pigments, like we have phycobilins, we have carotenoids, we have different types of chlorophylls also. A, B, C, D, E, there are different sorts of chlorophyll. Out of all the chlorophyll, A and B is most suitable for the photosynthetic act. Right. So, now the question is, where is that chlorophyll present? Where is that chlorophyll present in plant? So, let's look up the structure of leaf first. Then you will understand that what is the actual address of chlorophyll. So, if you look at the structure of leaf, see that on the upper side we have the upper epidermis and on the lower side we have the lower epidermis. Inside the epidermis, you can see two different type of cells. Both the type of cells form mesophyll tissue. Both the type of cells, they form mesophyll tissue. On the upper side, you can see the cells are elongated sort of. They are called palisade cells. And on the lower side, you can see that cells are small, spherical and irregularly spaced. They are termed as spongy cells. Right. So, I think it's clear. Upper epidermis, lower epidermis, mesophyll tissue. Upper side we have palisade cells. Lower side we have the spongy cells. Inside the palisade cells, you can see a certain substance present, like apart from vacuole, you can see the another thing which is present inside it. That is the organelle which is called as chloroplast, Now let's look at the structure of chloroplast. So this is the chloroplast in organelle. If we will look at the structure of chloroplast, you can see that it has two membranes which surrounds it. One is the outer membrane and the other is the inner membrane, right? And we can easily make out that there is some watery substance, and that watery substance is the fluid which is termed as matrix or stoma, right? Then you can see a certain coin-like structures, or you can say the certain structures which look like coin, or they actually resemble that. If you pile up some coins, they look like this. So these structures, they refer to as grana. What they are called as grana. And if you will clearly see inside the grana, you will make out there is a pigment which is present in grana, that is called as chlorophyll. So, if somebody asks you about the address of chlorophyll, then how are you going to answer? You should know that chlorophyll is present in grana. Grana is present in the stoma of chloroplast. Chloroplast is present in the palisade cells of the mesophyll tissue. And where the mesophyll tissue is present, it is present in the leaf. So, these are the four raw materials. I think you are familiar now. Carbon dioxide we have already done. Water again we have done. Third, we have studied about the natural source, that is the sun, which is providing us the solar energy. And fourth, we know about the chlorophyll, that is the photosynthetic pigment now. So, these are the inorganic materials which are actually required by the plants in order to prepare their food. So, these are the raw materials. Now, let's study about the mechanism of photosynthesis, that how these inorganic materials convert into food. So, let's study about it. So, if we look at the mechanism of photosynthesis, so basically we have two sorts of reactions which are occurring during photosynthesis. The one we have is the light reaction and the other we have is the dark reaction. So, now let's start with that. What is light reaction? As the name suggests, light reaction, that is, there will be some sort of reaction which is occurring in presence of light. This is how you are going to address light reaction. So, light reaction, we can write it as a reaction which occurs in presence of light. Now, where this reaction is going to take place? Obviously, it is going to take place in a part of plant where the chlorophyll is present, because chlorophyll only has a power to trap the sunlight, that is the solar energy. So, it will occur in grana. So, I think it's clear. that we can define at this moment that light reaction is a reaction which occur in presence of light in the grana where the chlorophyll is present. Now let's sum up the sequence of events that occur during light reaction. So the first step which occur in light reaction, or you can say the first act which occur during light reaction, is the photolysis of water. Photo means light, lysis means breakdown of water, that means breakdown of water. So the first reaction is the reaction where we'll see that water breaks down in presence of light. That is the reason it is called photolysis of water. So we have water, that is H2O. In presence of light, it is breaking down into 2H positive, half O2, and along with it we get 2 electrons. So this is the first reaction, that is photolysis of water. Now the second event that occur after photolysis of water is the reduction of NADP. Like we know, we have ADP also in our body, we have ATP also, we have NADP also, we have NADPH2 also. These all ATPs, ADPs, NADP and NADPH2, they are source of energies. The used form of NADPH2 is NADP, right? Now this NADP will combine with this 2H positive which was released during photolysis of water, and it will get converted into the reduced form of NADP, which is the rich energy source, that can be written as NADPH2. Now it is the energy source. Earlier it was lacking that energy part because it was in a used form. Now it is the energy rich form, right? So this is the second reaction. Now the third reaction which occurs during light reaction, the third one is formation of ATP. Again, I told you, like NADPH2 and NADP, we have the used form of energy, that is the chemical form ATP, when it is energy rich, that is adenosine triphosphate, ATP. When it is in used form, it is ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate. So in plant there is used form of energy, that is ADP. It combines with the 2 electrons which are produced during photolysis of water, and it gets with the inorganic phosphate and gets converted into the rich energy form, that is ATP. So I think you got it. So these 3 reactions are the events that occur during light reaction. First was, that is the photolysis of water, which produced half O2, 2H positive and 2 electrons, right? Second is the converting the NADP into reduced form of NADP, that is NADPH2. And how it gets converted? When NADP combines with 2H positive, which was released during photolysis of water. The third act was that formation of ATP, the energy rich molecule. Again, how it is formed? When ADP combined with inorganic phosphate ions in presence of 2 electrons which were liberated during photolysis of water, and then they formed ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So these are primarily the 3 reactions that occur during the light reaction. Now everything is set within the plant, and the plant is ready to prepare its food. It has almost reached halfway. Now the second reaction is the dark reaction. Now as the name suggests, dark reaction, that is, it is not occurring in presence of light. It occurs in the absence of light. And where does it take place? It takes place in the fluid that you can see in the chloroplast, which is matrix, or we can term it as stoma. So inside stoma, the dark reaction is occurring. What actually occurs? Carbon dioxide, which was taken up by plant through stomata, combines with the ATP, which was formed during the light reaction, plus NADPH2, which was formed during the light reaction. They all combine to form food, but to catalyze the reaction, we need is the biocatalyst, that is an enzyme. And who is going to act that biocatalyst? That is none other than RUBP. And how we are going to expand it? Ribulose biphosphate. So this is the overall dark reaction that takes place in stoma. So I think you got it, that how plants are able to make their own food by utilizing the inorganic raw materials of environment and also in presence of the natural light, which is the solar energy.